How great it is for us to all be back together again for another Tent Talk Conversations. Remember to subscribe to our channel to make sure that you check this out in its entirety today. This is going to be a very special time. I know I say it every single time because all the people that I am in partnership with are very special, amazing, real, authentic people. So I'm so glad to be able to have you here with us today. So be sure that you check this out in its entirety and then share it with others and make sure. Did I already say subscribe to the channel? I'm pretty sure I did, but make sure that you do. I'm so glad today to have my friend Bernardo Schmitt back with us. He's been with us before here on Tent Talk Conversations, but listen, we're in a new season. We're in something very fresh, very organic. It's springing up right now in real time. And I want to have Bernardo be able to share with all of us today what's been happening recently in Germany. And he's just gotten back from 3 weeks in Paraguay. And there is so much more that's happening. And I love being able to say that he's about to head to Texas to spend time with Wynn and I and NMM here. So without further ado, let me just introduce to you Bernardo Schmitt, our dear friend and partner here at NMM. So Bernardo, I'm so glad that you're here today. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I am so thrilled to be here on this channel again and with you, Nancy. Amazing.
Yes, it is. It is amazing. So Bernardo, I want us to jump right in. You and I have been talking. God has been doing great things, and yet we know that this is our real lives being plowed, right? We're really in it. This is not hype. This is not bravado. This is not just making it up for the camera. We're in our real life, and we are walking that out with the Father. So I want you to, first of all, just talk a little bit about Christ Ministries. That's what you're heading up, is Christ Ministries, and that you're there in Germany. And just briefly talk about where you're at and all that Christ Ministries is doing right now before we get into the specifics.
Yes. I like this part that we don't need to make something up anymore. It's real life. It's like in real time right now. So many things are happening. And I would encourage people to go back and watch the videos that we did in the past, because then it's going to make a lot of more sense. And I don't have to repeat all that. But what God is doing is, it is just so overwhelming. But at the same time, I learned, especially from you, Nancy, is to stay sober in these times.
Yes.
And I can just say, I'm so grateful and glad that I learned this, that I was able to learn this, and I'm still learning this, especially because I love fast fire. I loved it. And but now it shifted. I just see what God can do in this slow move of God. And there are so many times that I remember you said, Nancy, don't package it. Don't make a package out of what you are doing. Don't bring your own ministry. You have to define what is God doing right now at this moment in time, and in your wherever you go, whatever you do. So Christ Ministries, we are a training center. I mean, we have been training here now. I have been being trained by you, but we're training so much all the time. Grow Up School, other schools, seminars about starting from Cross Encounter, and then we go on, and people are coming from all over Germany, south, north, east, and west, and it is just amazing to see what God is doing. And other than that, people are opening their doors. For example, there's some Mennonite churches around this area, which I didn't even know they existed. They're coming now and asking if we would be able to train them, and I mean, it's so many things, and I don't even know where to start. Just came back from so just ask me questions. I have no notes, and whatever people want to hear now.
Yes. Well, and that is part of it too, is sifting through, into when there is so much. And I know that when you and I talk privately, the layers, right, that are really happening, sometimes the things you want to tell people aren't the things that are all happening in public. It's the
Right.
conversations and the connections that are happening after the event. It's when you're
Yeah.
sitting at dinner having a meal, right? And the way that God connects you with people, you think, I could never get in this room or be with these people just on my own. It's the favor of God for the
Absolutely.
assignment that he's sending us on. Could we be more specific? It's the favor of the Father that's coming on us, right?
Yeah.
If we stay with him in this. So you and I have talked about this, that when I say, God, is it revival? Is it reformation? I mean, what is it? He keeps saying, Nancy, it's me. It's
Mm,
me. Tell them it's me, right?
yeah.
That he's up. Something's afoot in his holy house. He is on the move, Zechariah 2:13. And this is why, though we love the fast fire, we're not against the fast fire, because the fire is God himself and he can move any way he wants. But for
Yes.
our continuing assignment and partnership, it continues to be this very sharp, slow, sobering presence of the Father. He's saying, stay with me, move with me. And so that's a part of what I want all of our friends here on Tent Talk Conversations to be able to hear from you, all right, to hear from you what has been opening up. And Christ Ministries has just recently sent you out, right? You and Freddie, your dear friend and great partner in ministry and in life. That
Absolutely.
y'all work together, right? He's just had a new baby with his wife. They've got two beautiful children. Freddie's an amazing guy, right? But the two of you took off together and just spent about 3 weeks in the nation of Paraguay in different regions, almost from top to bottom, watching what God is doing. So I just want to give you some time to
Okay.
just share the aspects of that, because you and I were in Paraguay together back in April.
Yeah.
You asked me to go back with you when the invitations started really pouring in to go back with you guys in July, but I was under strict instruction from the Father to prune
Hallelujah.
back for scaling up, right? So I stayed in obedience to the Father and I stayed home, and you guys went on into Paraguay, and things have been absolutely just breaking open, just cracking open in that nation. So I just want you to tell the parts that you want to tell. I know there's
Yeah.
much, but I want people to hear from you. So talk
Yes.
about what's been happening and the provision, maybe provision, and then
Hmm.
in Paraguay, if you want to do
Oh,
that.
that sounds really, really good.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, this is a move of God. It is not, you're so right. It's not revival. It is a move of God. And what we have seen, you cannot make this happen by knowledge. It's impossible. But you could make something happen now in the flesh, you know. You could start churches and all that. I told you in private.
Yes.
And in the
Yes.
past, I would have done this because I did not know how important this is
Mm.
to to watch and see what he is doing in that particular time or area. So yeah, I'm just so glad, and I don't really know what I want to say, but starting from provision. I mean, there's something happened in Texas when I was there,
Mm.
and I sat down with Win, your
My
husband.
husband. Yes.
Yes. And they were all, there were so many people eating and sitting around tables, and I sat with him, and we talked about provision, about how's God providing today. And we
Mm.
had such an amazing talk, and he talked about sowing in. And I have heard this so many times in my life, but it's somehow I really did not really get it. Let's say it like that. And so it was such an amazing talk, and I said, wow, and you have experience. And he said, I can send you something. So when I came back from Texas, where I heard a lot about pruning back, not easy in the
You
flesh,
scale
but
up. That's
yeah,
right.
just
God
I know.
prunes back what's fruitful so
Yeah.
that it can scale up and be even more fruitful. So please continue.
Yeah. So coming back, I talked to Freddie. You talked about Freddie, good friend, good partner, work together all every day. I mean, it's just amazing to see this, what God is doing. So I say, look, Freddie, I really believe we need to listen to Win now and to start sowing in, not just donations and tithing, but really sowing into
Mm,
something. And God started to speak to us, to sow in wherever you receive.
mm.
And we started to make these decisions very clear and just started to do this. And amazingly, I mean, we just saw provision. I mean, just like that, we have seen what God started to do. I
Do you
mean,
want to tell any specific without
oh
names, but just tell about somebody who watched your stuff on YouTube and
gosh,
yeah.
I
Do you want to
there,
tell? You tell
yeah,
what
yeah,
happened.
yeah. I mean, this is for the glory of God, man.
That's
Why not?
right.
I mean, this guy, I don't even know him. We have never met. He watches our videos all of a sudden because one guy who knows us told him you should watch these guys in this ministry. So he started to watch our videos in 12,000 meters in the air, in a business class jet. He starts to, because they have internet. So he starts to watch our videos, and God starts to speak to him and say, "You have to go there and start to sow into that ministry and start kingdom work in the ministry." And so he comes here. He says, "Bernardo, I think God spoke to me to help you, uh, whatever you need to pay. I mean, just tell me." And then he said, and God told me to give you a new car. So I just gave away my car. He did not know. And he gives
Mm,
me a new car. So God is just so amazing. And now we see how this is working. And the best thing is, I learned from you to be sober. And I really told him, and probably he will watch this. And he said, I want to go in as well. And he came to the cross encounter first
they're
before,
in
and
Germany with you.
yes,
Mhm.
and he wants to go in further, but he wants to learn in his what he's asking. I want to learn how to sow in and do kingdom work for
Mm.
God. So, and what I see is just this is what I had to learn is to sow in, but also reap, not just, you know.
That's correct. That's
So,
right. That's
and
right.
we are in the middle of this because, going now to Texas, just like you said, in
Mhm.
January. I made this decision very clear. I want to go there. I want to scale back. I want to prune back. I mean, and I
Mhm.
want to learn
That's
more.
right.
We'll be there for, I guess,
A
I'll be there for
month.
a month.
I
Yeah.
invited you for 2 months, but you're coming for one.
Oh, maybe. Well, I'm so glad. And
Yes, I am very glad too.
yeah,
It's
and I
very
just see
strong.
that now it's possible. I mean, just God is giving, He's providing. It's
Right.
amazing to see. So I'm very glad for this. And I just want to say, I mean, just from my heart, people, sow in wherever you receive. I really believe that this is something
Well, we
big.
say this all the time, you have to be world-class receivers to be world-class givers. Everything in the kingdom first, we receive. We freely receive and then freely give. God doesn't ask us to give anything if we have not first. We are receivers. God
Yes.
is always the initiator in everything. We are the responders. It doesn't start with us. I think
Yes.
he wants to produce through us, but he's the starter, right? He's the
Right.
first giver and we are the receivers and then we begin to live like him, right?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is this is very, very strong. And the way this is opening, right? That you would hear that word, you would respond to the Father in that way. And then a man from another nation flies
Yes.
into Germany,
Yeah.
right?
He lives in
Um,
Germany. He has his
he
companies in
lives
Germany,
in
but
Germany.
he is from Kirkis. Yeah, another nation.
From another nation. Okay, good. I'm glad you cleared that clear that up, right? So, I mean, but this is amazing. We don't know what God has fully provided for us until we stay with him and keep staying because everything is on that path for what the Father wants to do. And this is
Yes.
what the key is. And this is part of that sobriety is, Father, we're going to stay with you. All right. So
Yes.
please
And
continue.
yeah, one last sentence to this. He was like, and I want to make sure this is God. So can you give me a name of a car that's most favorite to you? And I said, well, if you ask like that, I mean, I like BMWs. And he's like, he shows me a picture and he's like, there you see it. It's the best BMW you can get in Germany. So, so I praise the Lord for this. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, well, that is amazing because you had one before.
I know, I know. And he said, you did something that you worked. Why should you not have the same for God? So I'm like, okay, God is good. He's good. So
Yes.
anyway, praise the Lord. From here, we go to Paraguay.
Yes.
We have been with you in Paraguay in April. I remember, and I did not ask you if I can say this, but I will.
Okay.
And you said you brought quite good money and you sow it into that nation. You remember that? I know you don't like
I
this.
sowed into a producer, into a person, NMM.
Yeah.
We sowed into a family that had completely upended their life to follow the Father and to go into Paraguay, and was the door for us into Paraguay. And God put upon our hearts that we were to sow into their lives and what they were doing there. Because here at NMM, we are a sowing and reaping, but we are definitely a sowing ministry.
And this was a big school for me. I have never seen this like that. And I liked it so much, so I did the same thing this time. And what I saw is that this family you just talked about, we did not ask them to follow us all around Paraguay, and they came everywhere we went. They came with us
Mm,
everywhere.
mm.
And we just see that God is on the move. He is,
Right.
I mean, they are just, living this life. And I see that it's a harvest that is right there now. So we started a cross encounter with you in April. The Mennonite nation in Paraguay is quite big. There's a big
Mm.
area in El Chaco. Chaco is 5 hours from Asuncion, that's the capital city,
Capital.
and
Mhm.
from Independencia it's like 8 hours.
Mm.
So these folks came, 4 families came from, and a couple more people went to that cross encounter, came there. So then they asked us, okay, would you come and be willing to come and do a cross encounter in the nation, the Low German nation in Chaco, which there are thousands of people there, and they speak a Low German Mennonite language, which is how I grew up. So if you want to watch the other videos, they will
That's
be
right.
there.
Go back and watch, yes,
Yeah.
the other
Yes.
show.
So, and I asked you, and you said, "Well, I'm staying. You can go," and I'm very glad for that. Thanks for the
Yes,
trust.
that's what we're wanting to do. That's right.
So it just broke open. I mean, when we went there, we had this amazing cross encounter, but at the same time, I'm starting to be a lot of, I mean, seeing, oh, wow, what's going on? I mean, it's just broke. I mean, 4 pastors came to that meeting, to that cross
Cross
encounter.
encounter. Because
Yeah,
they probably had about 40, 50 people.
50 people.
Cross encounter in July.
Yeah,
And in those 50 people, there were 4 Mennonite pastors
yes,
of fairly large congregations
yes,
that attended the cross encounter.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And after we left, I mean, we left and everything is okay for us. But they had big problems in that area because the churches did not like this in that area. So they started to say, we don't like this, so you have to make a decision. You cancel what you learned. You don't go with them, and you stay with us, or we throw you out. So they threw out almost all of the people that went to that cross encounter. And in that area, that means a lot because you
Yes.
have to make this decision. If you're going this way, you're going to have problems selling your stuff. You're going to have problems in families. I mean, they have to make a very clear decision. And this is something I want to emphasize a little bit because it's not just, oh, I'm just going to different. No, 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 no. They have problems. I mean, it's like, you want to live his life or you want to go in this church?
Mm.
And they made a
So the
decision.
religious structures, it's the religious, and this happens across the board, right? This happens whether, no matter what denomination, whatever, is that when we find that this organic work of God, when the gospel is really going forward, that Christ is our life and it's for him and there's no other way, right? This begins then to just
Yes,
absolutely divide. And
of
when
course.
in this particular culture, the Mennonite culture, and Low German is the language of the folks that you come from, right? This Low German is their whole economy of life is wrapped up
Yes,
in that culture of being in that Mennonite culture, right?
Absolutely.
And so it affects everything for them to go with
Families.
Christ.
Yeah,
Mm.
families and so many things. But I just realized when I was there now, when we came back and I saw all this and how their hearts are open now and they just because now they chose to live this life. It's like
Yes,
I see that they chose you.
that's
This is
right.
your life. They want to
Right.
live your life. So
Right. They chose
now,
to follow him, not a
yeah,
person. They chose to
exactly.
follow him.
And we come there now in August and in November, and I started to see all this. I mean, I did not know how worse this could be for them or how bad this could be. I started to see that, and I was like, "Oh, wow, wow, wow! We need to stay sober now." I mean, what is God doing here? So, like I said before, we could start a Christ Ministries church. I mean, just like this. I mean, they're open now for everything. And God is keeps on telling me, Bernardo, this is not what we're doing.
Oh boy.
Watch what I am doing. So
Mm.
we had a lot of conversation. This is amazing. Not
Yes.
just meeting. We have conversations all day long, and with 40 people sitting there. I mean, all day long, just conversations and conversations, and and that's when I realized being a messenger. That's what's it is. That's what's it all about. So I kept on telling you, I said, guys, look, I don't know what God is doing here, but He is on the move. So let's just stay with Him. Let's just stay focused with Him. And I want
Right.
to one small story, and I don't know, it's just a good story, I believe. There's one guy, I mean, he's so much into this now, and he's so focused and running because he tested this, he tasted this life now. And he is so on fire and he could go, I mean, all over the place. And he started to, you know, found small house churches and he is so on fire. And I'm like just thinking, God, let him go in first. And the
Mm.
last day, after all these conversations, he comes to me, sits next to me, and he says, Bernardo, I realize I need to stop running and I
Mm.
need to go in for myself first. And I'm like, say that again. And he said it again. And I said, you know what? This is exactly right. So, and I said, calm down a little bit. I will be in, I told him I will be in Texas and we will talk about all this and I will learn and we will see. So there is a door opening up for these folks there. And I don't even know what it is. I just know that's a move of God. So we had an X cross encounter, another 45 people, and now
Mm.
they're like almost 100 people
Mm.
cracked open. And I'm
Yes,
like, Father, I'm not ready for this. I'm just not ready. What have we been doing? But I know it's him,
that's
and we
right.
let him.
Yes. Well, and this is what he promised me years and years ago, that, we would be producer of producers and that God would introduce us to lead sons in different nations, because there's a holy nation inside every nation, God's people.
Yeah,
And because God himself is on the move, right? His people that are really, really being dealt with by him, they know that they've got to move with him. Sometimes, though, they're not quite sure how to do that. What does that actually mean? And oftentimes, when a fresh move of God, it requires a fresh loyalty to God. I learned this years ago. That's not an original statement to me, but this fresh move, when God Himself is on the move,
yeah,
this sobriety that you talk about, this is really comes from being drunk in the spirit, because it says
yeah,
in Ephesians 5, being drunk in the spirit, don't be drunk with wine, but be drunk in the spirit, being sharp and sober and alert. So I believe that this preparation that God has been doing in you over these last 2-3 years that you and I have known each other, right, is that you realize how easy it would be when you're gifted and people are drawn to you and all of that, how easy it would be to draw their affections and loyalties to you rather than to him.
Absolutely.
This is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So what can you share just in your own life as from the last time we were together when, yes, those were great things and people can go back and watch that previously, but the deepening of that and the cost of going with him, which ultimately is like, really, I mean, the value the value is him. So whatever
Yeah.
cost there is, I'm not sure that that's really something we certainly don't want to martyr ourselves about that.
Yeah.
But to understand the sobriety of that, and as you're moving forward with him in
I
Germany,
mean,
in Paraguay,
the-
and hopefully Kyrgyzstan and
yeah.
other places will open, because this is what God has promised will happen.
Yes.
Yeah, if we stay with him.
Oh, and this is exactly the word you just said. It is a plowing that's happening in you. It is so deep, and I just realized that there is this deep brokenness that you need to step in more and more and more and all over, because it's abiding in him, staying with him. That's the only thing that will keep you not to start a ministry, a machine of ministry.
Mm,
It's the only thing. If you don't stay, oh, and I keep on telling God, I mean, I want to stay in this brokenness place, but it's with Him, and it is not. Uh, it is not. How should I say that? It is deep. It is so deep. And He is showing you what is in you. I mean, it is not just that you are this poor guy. No, it is. He's in this brokenness. You see the huge. I have no words, the brightness of him, the beauty,
that's
and
right.
and wow, it is amazing. So the more I go into this, the more I see how important it is to stay with him so close and not to run away, not to see how big and this is, how huge this is, but just stay with him and look, how is he going? And what I see now is he's bringing you from one place to another place. I mean, in the personal life, it is, you're like, really? I did not know. I did not know this. But I read it and it's like, oh, there it is. And
Mm,
even talking about pruning back, what does that mean? I
that's
mean,
right. Because you've been
it,
sharing with your folks there in Germany about
yeah,
coming here to Texas and
yes.
pruning back to get ready for the scaling up, all that. And people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, some people are like, you don't even have time for teaching all this. You have everything. I'm like, I have everything, but believe me, for what is to come, we need to prune back. So I explained how important this is, to go in for yourself. And I feel like this, I'm just one step ahead of people I'm teaching now.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
just one step ahead. It's like I'm not there and they are there. It's like just I'm feeling like, and it has to be him and his move. But I would say like this: he's bringing you deeper and deeper into his beauty. Beauty. Maybe I could say it like this.
Yeah, I think that's because when I said fresh move, fresh loyalty, it's like, wow, Father, I didn't know all this was going to be in here when I came to you, but you're seeing him, because this is where the sons and the Father are going to be. This is how Jesus lived. And
Yeah.
Christ is in us, and Christ is being developed in us. So therefore we live like him. And so this oneness between you and him becomes everything. So if
Everything.
he says
Yeah.
prune back when
Yeah.
everything is looking so fruitful, because that's when you prune, is when things are
Yeah.
looking fruitful. And in
Exactly.
the natural, you're like, oh no, Father, we need to keep. He says, son,
Yeah.
son, I'm saying, he's like, trust me, I do have something big planned. But is it going to be my way, son? You're going to come with me, right? And so that loyalty to him,
Yes.
that oneness, because people can be like all excited, oh, this is great, we want this, we want that. But a true son, a true producer is listening for what is the Father saying.
Yeah.
And in his timing, there's a scripture in Romans in the Message Bible, I think. It says, waiting does not diminish you any
Yes.
more than waiting diminishes a pregnant woman. Okay, it's very powerful. You like waiting is not going to make smaller because life is already in you. Life is already, right? God's already got the plan and we're growing into it. We have to mature so that we, right, can stay with him and the stamina as we go, right? And that's the hidden private, that's the slowest fire, right?
And when you
Right?
see what he has been written over your life, and when you start to
Yeah.
see this,
Yes.
and it's planned from the beginning, and plan A, and all this, and it's just so big
Yes.
that you want others to see this, but it's not just from the pulpit. You cannot preach it from the pulpit. It's not working. They have to go in for themselves,
That's
and
correct.
the value of every individual people. I mean, that's what I start to see. And I see this in Paraguay as well. I mean, we could do big meetings with a lot of folks. And we did 2 nights. We just said, okay, who everybody wants to come, and it was
Right.
250 people.
That's
But
right.
but I see that if I pour in, if we would pour in 5 of them, I mean, they
Mm,
would just,
that's
the
right.
nation would
That's
just
correct.
shift.
That's correct.
I mean,
We
we
start to
saw,
see. Go ahead.
yeah, we saw this when we were there. I mean, 10 years ago, God told me, and I forgot about that. I really did. And you told me later that God also told you this to you, that we will meet governments. We will
Mm,
meet officials. I'm
mm.
like, and this just happened. They just opened the door. I mean, just open up without doing, I did nothing. So we met a president of that colony, of that corporate system there. This is a Mennonite system. And the next day we met a governor who is the main guy for the whole state of Bucaron. I mean, he is exactly next to the president of the nation. And after our
The
conversation,
president of Paraguay.
yes,
And
yes,
this guy is one of his like governors of regions.
yes, of a region of Bucaron, which is a
So
big
those
region. This
doors
is the
were opening.
it just opened up. We went to all these officials. We went into his office. I mean, it took a while, but doors just opened because on that evening, I told these folks, the 45 people who were there, who went to the cross encounter, they're like, oh, we need this. And I said, you know what, guys? I think we need to talk to the government. And the next day, the doors were open. I'm like, what is going on? So I had to stay sober.
I bet you did.
Oh, no, but then after we met, first of all, I told this guy, this governor, I said, would you be able to open a door for Senor Peña, the president of the nation? And he said, yes, of course. So next time we come, we will have an open door for the president of the nation, and we will talk to and sit with him. We have
Wow.
pictures where we sat, and the only thing I said, you know what? I respect you and what you're doing in this nation. It's very interesting what they are doing. We don't have time to talk about that now, but I said I would love your yes for us to start a spiritual work here, what God is doing here. So are you allowing me and us? And this guy's like, how could I say no? And I said, that's not a yes. And then he said yes. Both of them did the same thing. So we had a
That's,
yes. We have a
yeah.
yes for that region. And one thing that happened was very interesting because they have not had rain in that area in Chaco from February till now. And it's very, very, very dry. And this was exactly what happened. The people say, could you pray for this nation for rain?
Yeah.
And that's when I said, without knowing what God is, it was God through me. I said, guys, look, everybody's praying for rain here, right? They're like, yes. I said, I think I need to talk to the governments to have their yes. I don't know why I said it. I'm like I say, I really believe this was God. And so and next day, there is no forecast for rain on their phones. It rained the whole night. And since then, it has been raining till now. And we
Wow. You didn't
received
tell me this part. Yes.
No, we received so many messages,
Wow.
even now on Christ Ministries. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for praying. Thanks. I'm like, guys, we did not pray. We just had a yes. And I just spoke. I said, I remember this evening, I said, and now it can rain.
It
And it just
can
started
rain.
to.
And it starts to rain. But this is
So
something you and I have talked about over the years. And God has
I know.
told me this, and then we told me. And because I remember encouraging you, now, Bernardo, do not limit. And I know this sounds strange, but I was like, Bernardo, do not limit what God's doing by just trying to open a church. Do you remember me saying that? I said, Bernardo,
Oh,
I said, I
oh,
know
if you
this
would not
sounds,
say that, I would make churches and plant churches by now. Believe me.
well, because obviously we are going to build with Jesus. I mean, he's, and God is the master architect and builder, and we know he's building his church. But how he's doing that right now, we want to be very careful as he builds his church. And yes, we do want to do that, but what he is doing, how is he doing it in this time, right? So this is where, if we're not careful in fast fire and in excitement, and we see just sheerly by default, we would go right back into building as
Absolutely.
was once the plan, if you will. But as the Father is building his sons, Ephesians
Yes.
2, very clear on this. I spoke about this on my podcast and in a recent vault that I did, on private online gathering that I did. When talking about when God is building his people, in Ephesians 2, it says that he, under his supervision, he's putting together his stones, his lively stones, his sons. He's building a house, right, according to what he's after in this time. So obviously he's building.
Yeah.
And we want to see the people of God, the body of Christ, the sons, the bride, whatever terminology, right, God is using, he's trying to show how one, he wants to be with his people, and that they're out in every sphere of culture, not trying to control culture, but to deeply influence her in business and media and everywhere, in government, right? I mean, so this is so very powerful to see this happen within 24 hours. God can get you anywhere he wants you to be
Yes.
if you're
So
willing
true.
to go his way. That's right. So,
And to make, we to build another Christ Ministries in a nation like that would be easy because we have the plan, we know how to do it, we do the
that's
same
right.
thing, but it's not a move of God.
Mm,
And to see this, you have to grow into maturity. And I'm so glad for this. And I just want to emphasize to people that listening now, let's stop doing our own way.
mm,
Let's just move with him. And I believe this is exactly what he is calling us to, is to mature sons so that they see this.
mm.
Because if you're not mature enough, I would do this 3 years ago. I would have built a church. I know I would, and
Yes.
it would look good. Oh,
Yes.
wow, there's another Christ Ministries in Paraguay. Beautiful.
Mm.
But
Would have made you look very successful. Yes.
oh, it looks so successful, but it would be a work of man, and it's going to be
Right.
difficult.
That's right. Well,
At
and
the
it
end.
would be that which we can see, right? But if we're staying with the Father, and something that, as you and I talked before we hit the record button and began to record, you said, Nancy, one thing I know is this is not made by man, what I see happening. So can you
So
speak to that? We use the word synthetic and organic, is that we don't need anything else synthetic made by man, but the organic that's springing forth from God in and through us. Yes, but so just talk about how you're seeing things and no, this could not be man's doing.
when you come there and you see the whole thing, how people cracked open, and the hunger, and how they have to leave their places and churches and all this, and how God is deeply going in,
Mm,
you just
mm,
know that this is not a move of man. This is a move of God. It is
mm.
so clear. Everything is happening organically. I mean, look, yesterday we did not meet any president or any government. Next day we have met them both. And you're staying there like, is this really a dream? Is it a dream? Like, it's so organic. It is like,
It's
you
opening.
don't, yeah. And what I love so much is I don't even know what we're gonna do next day after crossing. I don't even know. We just talk. And out of that, we see the move of God moving now. And so leaving that place in the flesh, it's like, what's going to happen with them? But in the spirit, I
Yes.
know that it is his kingdom, his work. He's building his church, and I know that he is continuing, even though I don't see it now. We don't see exactly what's going on, but at the same time, I'm like very sober and saying, God, you started it, you will continue it, but I'm here, whatever it
That's
takes.
right.
Tell
That's
me.
right.
And I don't want to move on with no other than whatever you say. So what we have now is they asked us, the leadership asked us, would you be willing to just talk to us over
Mm,
the next couple of weeks and months over
mm.
Zoom? I mean, God, is this you? I believe it's you, because talking is easy. What do we do?
But it moves on relational connection. I mean, this is what's happened with you and I, and a lot of the folks that we are all, connected with,
I
is
learned it.
watching, is
Yeah.
watching God cause it to unfold. And I think we all are under the striking conviction of the sovereign connections that we would have never met, never moved together just on our, and to watch God do that. That's why I said earlier, what a great value it is to me to see you placing such priority when you go in. Talk about reproducing, right? Is to go in and to count. Yes, we want to get the message out through Cross Encounter. I mean, listen, I'm pruning back on Cross Encounter because I'm about to scale up Cross Encounter to the nations, right? And I know that we're going to do this together with others. But when you realize the importance to the Father of the conversations that you have with people, when you're listening to them and you have people walk up to you eventually and they say, listen, what I really need to say is this, I need to enter in for myself. And you think,
Yes.
okay, you're listening. And you realize that is where the Father, he's moving within his people
Yes.
and he's getting people prepared and then positioned, right? Because there's so much he has to do in our own lives, in us, to get us ready, to move with him. So, can you talk just a little bit? And if this catches you off guard, just let me know. But talk with me just a little bit about this coming to Texas because you were
Yes.
just here because I just had in and part of my pruning back was I brought in 20 to 25 of you guys, men and women from the nations, from the USA, the UK, Europe, to gather together to just do what the Father told me to do. So the same thing I tell you guys to do, that's what I'm having to do, was to stay home because normally I'd be in Europe. I'd be in Germany, Austria, Poland. I would be out this whole month of November. I'd be out in December, you know. But God said, no, Nancy, come home, work stateside. And that's what I've been doing nonstop, right? Because we're pruning back to get ready to scale up. And he told me. And this was really a little hard for me to say to everybody when they came here to Texas in September and October for that 1 week or so that we were all together was you're going to have to tell them, Nancy, they're not ready yet for what I'm about to do. I was like, oh my. Because at first
So
I
from
thought we were going to be getting ready to get this out to the people more. And it was like, no, they're not ready. Invite them in for 1 to 2 months in January, February to really begin to get ready for the upscale of what I'm about to do.
Oh, and I thinking of what you did, and this is an example that you give us, even though I mean, you tell us, we fly there and you tell us, look, we're not prepared. We have to prune back. So for a leader and somebody who is doing ministry is like,
Uh,
really? The first
what?
thought is, really? This is how I came here? But
To be told,
the next thought is, oh, wait a minute, maybe she's right. Maybe this is God. So after the couple of days, and I have to say this now. I mean, you served us in hospitality. Oh my gosh. I mean, I calculated, I was like, this is a lot of money. But I mean, that you spend on us, but I saw this as sowing into,
absolutely. Well, and
And
also a big thank you for all of you and what you have done to host us in the nations over these last many years. I mean, that's it's an amazing thing. But the
we
Father told me, bring them here and take care of everything because you're sowing into the future. Yeah.
amazing, amazing. So this is an example that we catch now, and we want to. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the same in later, but it's just how it is. But by the way, we miss you in Germany for
Yes,
now.
well, I miss being there, but I know that we're all doing exactly what we're supposed to be.
But after the couple of days in Texas, seeing all that and hearing the people, meeting all these folks, I mean, I knew a lot of them, but not all of them. It just, you see the same thing in every son
Yes.
happening. And it's like, it's the same thing. So, and after these couple of days, I mean, I think we were all like, I think we're not prepared. I think we need, for what God is doing and for his kingdom and his work, I think we need to do this. And the next thought is, okay, who's going to pay? Who's going to bring us here? Who's going to do all the schools? I mean, I'm talking about my thoughts now.
I
You know,
know.
I grow up school, I have harvester schools, we have all kinds of things. So who's going to do that? Like, what is this God? I mean, you know, and I remember, I remember when we started doing mentoring in the past, I told you, how can I read all these books and how can I mean, you know, I don't have time for this,
But
right? No,
here's the stack of books for January, but go ahead.
hallelujah. Uh, and you said to me, well, you just have to change your priority list. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I do.
And the thing is, it really worked. So
Mm.
now I know this works. I know it. You just have to see what is God doing right now. So coming back, it was like a little tough time because I need to think about it. I need to talk to the people here. Okay, what do we do? But I knew I need to come back. I need to prune back to be able to scale up.
Oh,
So, and
right.
I mean, Paraguay. Just looking at that, this just confirmed everything because we did not stay just in Chaco. We went from there to Independencia. We just talked with the people. We went to Sommerfeld. We had another cross encounter. We went to another place. I mean, we drove 1,800 kilometers just around the country.
Mm. And how many cross encounters was it? Two?
Two.
Two.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But all the rest was just talking.
I
And
love
I mean,
that.
we had meetings in one place 3 nights, but during the day, just talking with leadership, meeting with leadership,
Right.
and you know, sharing life. I mean, I never thought this is possible because I thought it's going from one seminar to another seminar and, you know, all these conferences. But that's, you don't really have, you don't, no, it's not that. I realize it's talking, living, and
Being,
coming into their private lives. That's
yes,
so
yes.
different.
And by their invitation, because they begin to hear what the Father is after, because we've talked about this. I mean, listen, we don't need any help living a public life.
No.
It's the private
Yes.
reality of,
Yeah.
of God's people right now that God is coming for. And I know that I'm in my own holy shift, which is in this work, right, which comes out of my private life, right, what I have with Him, right? But to go from, where I've been in mentoring, I'm not leaving mentoring, but now we must reproduce all of that. But to come into being one who sharpens others for the work and let every man and woman decide if they're going to change their priorities, if they're
Yes.
going to allow, because to think that we're ready, this is not about just doing what we're doing and just doing more of it. No. This is about going back in the ground so that we can come up in the form that He's after and to the production what He's after. When you go in the ground, right, and then you come up a whole new form, which is what happens when you plant a seed, a whole new form comes up and the production, right? So this is about what the Father is after and allowing Him to have it, His way. And
Yeah.
this is how Jesus lived. This is how we as His sons, His brethren, how we will live. But learning that, not just preaching it, but being the very message to say, no, the relational aspect, because, I believe discipleship is sonship. And
Yes.
sonship is about the Father. It doesn't end with us,
Right.
right? It's what we are becoming to Him. And will He have glad-hearted, trustworthy, jealous sons who want Him to get what He's after in the nations? And so it happens in this, in the
Yes.
smallness of it's not just big. So we're saying to everybody out there, as a friend of ours has said before, for the nameless, faceless, this has been a prophetic word that's gone through the ages. I don't know how many people have released this, but for the nameless, faceless, right, generation to rise up out of loyalty to the Father and to let Him do it His way. But there have to be those that go in first, and those that go in as the tip of the spear. And we're just saying, okay, Father, if that's part of our assignment, we're willing to do that. And I can't wait for you to get here in Texas for all of
I can't.
January, right?
Oh, that's gonna be amazing. I
It's
mean, it's
going to
gonna be.
be,
I know it has a lot of work. Sounds like, smells like work.
it will be, it
Yeah,
will be, but it'll be His work,
that's the
right?
thing.
And that's the only real motivation. I mean, what else would give us the motivation to live this way but
Right.
our life with Him, our oneness
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Him, right?
Yeah.
So when you get here, right, at the beginning of January, and you're with us throughout all of that month, this is something that NMM is doing going into 2025. I only see just a small portion. I've been joking with people telling me I can only see my life right now up to April 5th.
Yeah.
Beyond April 5th, I'm not totally sure, because we're really seriously staying with Him
Yes.
as this unfolds. And it's like He gives it to me in 2 to 3 month bites, and I get, okay, is this you, Father? Is this you? Okay. And then we step forward in that. So we're not inviting anybody to live any differently than we are
Yes.
ourselves.
And this is organic. It's like you don't have a whole plan, but you know the one who has the plan, and you're following him and you're staying with him. And this is exactly the life I see in you guys, and this is the life I'm gonna live. And I
Yes.
decided to live his life. And that doesn't mean you know all the plans. It's just like you see just a couple meters in front of you. That's all
Right.
you know. But you
That's,
trust him. You learn to lean on him and trust him, and
that's right.
and that's the only thing that matters, I believe. it's
That's,
not it's not always easy, really. I mean, let's
I
be
know.
honest. Sometimes I'm like, I want to have a whole plan. How is this gonna work out? I mean,
I know. There's nothing. Go ahead.
even now in Paraguay, I mean, after they saw all this, all of a sudden we get invitations from people in the Ascension, in the capital city, to come there and preach, and bigger congregations.
Yes.
In the past, we would say, "Oh, let's go." Now it's like, no, 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 no. Is this the Father, or is it just because they hear this and now it sounds good? So we said, no. We wait until we know this is the Father, and this is something what I'm so much. I love this life, but at the same time, you have to trust, and it's not just easy. It is not easy, but it's
Well,
amazing.
because you take builders, visionaries like yourself, I have all these amazing men and women, and they are builders. I mean, you got, here we go, and I mean, and to watch you guys, men and women, waiting on the Father,
Mm.
listening for Him. You can hear the breaking. I mean, you can hear it snap. It just snaps, because you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, Father, do you see what we can do? He's like,
Mm.
do you see what I am doing? Right? This is me. I mean, because to me, this is a part of that dividing line. Because, and I hope people will hear the heart in this, and you cannot be led by people and what people say. Oh, yes, I want this. I want this. Oh, we should do this. And you're thinking the best way to be for people is to stay with the Father
Yes.
in
Amen.
what He's doing. If you're led just by, listen, you can have a lot of followers,
Oh,
you can have a lot of people, but you cannot be led even by the need of people or the cries of people. And that can sound really odd, right? Because nobody loves the people more than the Father. So if I stay with the Father and I identify with the Father in what He's doing in lives and nations, Father is after nations, right? then there's no greater way for me to be for people than to stay with the Father. And this is a part of what you're really giving testimony to, is we're going to stay with the Father in what he's doing. It's not just about synthetic meetings and big numbers and this and that. Those structures are falling, but trust me, there are thousands and millions of people on the other side, right, of what the Father is doing. So we're going to stay with him. Yes?
Clear decision, absolutely clear decision after, but you will not be able to make this decision if you're not willing to go into the ground.
Oh, this is so
You're
true.
not. You are not. You can't. In the past, I would have. This is just impossible. But if you go into the ground, you see it cracking, but then the different form, like you said. Then you're looking. It's like this. I have this picture. I'm looking up, from the bottom in the ground. Like, okay, that's him. It's not me. I didn't make it, but at the same time, it's me, right? It's like it's him and me.
Because he wants you and him together to move as one. He's the vine. We're the branch. He's the producer. He's producing through us, right? We could try to draw diagrams about this. But honestly, none of us would get this. None of us would even agree to this. We'd be off on our man-made stuff if we had not entered in for ourselves. We must first see our need for him and this great and mighty work of the cross that he does in us, that he separates flesh from spirit. We go right back in to the core of what the Father has always desired and his way of producing that. And that's what we want to promote,
And
that's
then his yoke is easy, his burden
is light.
It's just true, because then you are in him, he stays with you, and then it's exactly how the word it describes. I have seen the different way in the past. I have been producing my own things. It looked good. It looks like I joked a little bit in Paraguay. I said this is a mango tree, but you made it by yourself, like with plastic. And when you take the mango, it's like plastic. And on the other hand, it's a real tree, but it's because you are in the ground.
That's right. Oh, I'm glad you called
on this tree, you're like, hey, everybody, look at my tree, look at my mangoes. It's so beautiful. And it's so hard to produce that, and that one is producing. So I'm just willing to go his way. And this is, it's all I can say. I'm going to live his life. My decision, very clear.
That's right. Well, and that's what continues. And so this time together has been literally just the continuation and the unfolding of what's happening in your life. And when people ask me, Nancy, where do you think the next great move of God is? I say, in you. It's in you. So I can see it. Right? Happening in you. I know what he's having to do in me to get me ready to move with him in private, in public, all of that. We see and I hear, and if we had more time that we'd be able to say, but to think about the people's lives that he's cracking open. When we say nations are cracking open, who's to say that in partnerships, that in the next few months, that we will not be in other nations, right? Mm-hmm. That'll be cracking open. I'm listening for states within the United States cracking open, and to watch where all of you guys that we've been a part of walking with in nations, beyond Germany and Paraguay, because I know we're not going to say it today, but that there are conversations that are being had, connections are being made, and we want to guard that.
Yes.
Because we're not going to use a person just to get into nations. God says, I'm going to connect you with this person. You care for this person. You let me take care of everything else, right? But we want to be able to say God is doing exactly what he said he would do. I can remember the first time when I met you and you're talking to me, you came up and you're like, I came right off the platform talking. I don't know that anybody else in that whole blow up soccer field that we were in during COVID, because that's when it
Poland.
was, I think, yeah, in
Poland.
Poland. But here you are from Germany. And I come off that, I'm thinking there's probably nobody, I don't know if anybody in here understood a word I said, because I'm always listening. Is there anybody out there that can understand what I just said, right? And you came up to me and you said, Germany needs this. And then it's like you caught yourself. And I remember I was like, yes. But then you said what I listened for. And you said, wait, you said, really what I mean is I need this. And that's when I knew. And then I inclined my ear a little bit more and listened. But guess what? That's happening now through you as you are having conversations with people. They're responding to you. They're like, hey, Bernardo, but you're listening with that father's ear and you're listening. And when someone says to you, wait a minute, yeah, I want to bless you, Bernardo. The provision is coming. But then that person says to you, wait a minute, Bernardo, because you stand with the Father. You stand with him, you stay with him and what he's doing, and that person 3-4 days later comes up to you in a private conversation and says, I really need this. And you know right then and there, that's what is happening. The Father, of course, the Father's going to bring provision. I'm believing, honestly, for a windfall, an outpouring of the finances, yes, but why? So that there can be producers, sons, men and women, all generations hearing the Father in a way they never have heard, because the public pulpit can declare it. We can herald it. We can be like the town crier, hear ye the word of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
But this work cannot happen from a public pulpit. We're not just looking for places to preach. We're willing to go in and pay the price, as other people did for our lives, to be able to say, Father, we're willing to go in with you into the hidden place, the hidden work, and let it be relational. Let it be as you have desired. So what would you share with people as we get ready to close today, Bernardo? What would you share with them, encouraging them to continue on with the Father and what it is that he's doing?
Oh, many things. But first of all, I would just say, identify what is the Father doing right now in your life.
Yes.
Be ready to go in for yourself. Don't underestimate the personal work that he is doing in your life. And at the same time, don't devaluate the individual person, like one person. I mean, this is so insane. What I have seen is that if you have the right person that you can pour in, that he is gonna bring this to nations. And so even though I'm thinking loud now, but even though if somebody says, well, I have the financial possibility to support these sons so that they can, I mean, amazing. That's a fruit that you are bringing in right there. But identify with the Father. What is he doing right now in your life? How can you? That's what I would say. So,
Yes.
and take time.
Oh,
Let
thank
him,
you.
like, for me to say this is a miracle, because
Yes.
I'm not this type. I would like to run, but
Yeah.
I know, I remember you told me, give God a year of your life. And out of this year, I decided to give my whole life him, not
Yes.
just 1 year, my whole life.
Yes.
That's beyond everything.
That's
So
right.
you want to start to live, after you see this, you just want to live his life.
Yes.
You want Galatians 2:20. This is what you want to really experience.
Right. The life I now live.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just encouraging, even if you see a big move of God and you think it's a big move, what is God doing right now in you in the biggest move? Yeah.
That's right. It is. It is in them. And I so appreciate that, because giving God time to do it his way, for his purposes. I mean, we know what God's had to do, right? In us, the reality of that, right?
We can
What
talk
that's
10 hours
required.
of that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I love that you said, don't underestimate, right? Don't underestimate what God can do. Because many times we're trying to do it shortcut. We're trying to get something quick because maybe we want relief from the pain. Maybe we just want to get out. And I tell people all the time, just because you can see it doesn't mean you're ready for it.
Amen.
We must trust him, because anything that we see, it's all for him anyway, right? This is all for him in that sense, that we are so grateful to him for what he's doing in us, and that he satisfied all of our need in him. And now we say, Father, what is it that you desire? Right? And then being able to move together. So I cannot wait until we're all together. You're back here with NMM, with Wynn and I, with the others that are coming in January. And then we've got several folks that are coming in. To us, several is 5 to 10. Okay. Because we look forward to that time where we can really pour in and sharpen, because we know where you guys are going to be sent out into your own life, into the nations. And I listen for people who because this may sound radical to someone, but not to me, is I listen for that one or two people that come to me and they say, Nancy, I believe I'm a door into my nation for this work. And I say, really? Talk to me. Tell me about that. Right? We've got people in nations. They're just one person. They're not hooked up with some big ministry. And we say, after we would really know that it's the Father, is then let us partner with you as you bring this work into your nation. This is how it's coming into the UK. We're going to be going in the British Isles in all of March. And again, we went last March. Now, slowly we're going back in. Who's to say we won't go with you into other nations when God begins to crack this open? This is what we're watching for. So this has been amazing. I'm so glad we were able to just carve out some time and just have you be able to share again, Bernardo. So thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Very, very glad. Thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
Yes. And do you have, yes, go ahead.
All the work you have been doing and also pouring into my life. Just very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, we love that. Do you have a way that we can put on the screen later to be able to have people, if they want to connect with you on your YouTube channel? We want to make sure we don't give out private information, right? But is there a way, if people want to connect with Christ Ministries, that they can? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel. Just go on Google. It's Christ Ministries in Germany, and you will find a lot of videos and stuff we do in German till now. Yes. And of course, website and everything. So if somebody's willing, maybe somebody from Germany is watching. By the way, I have a lot of folks that come and say, oh, we watch all the 10 Talk videos from Nancy.
Oh, that's amazing. We love that. We love that. That is so great. That is so great. Yeah, so people can connect with you through your YouTube and at Christ Ministries. So to everybody out there, I want to say thank you so very much for being a part of NMM, of Christ Ministries, of what the Father is doing, because that is our heart, is to move with him. So subscribe to our channel. Check out everything of NMM at nancymccready.com. Check everything out with Bernardo at Christ Ministries. And just know that we appreciate all of you so very, very much. And we look forward to what is happening in you and hearing from you so that we can be a part of that. So we love you all. Until next time.